it's Peter from the Kia Hyundai channel. Welcome to our live video series. In this video, we're going to talk about the Hyundai Ioniq 5 electric car. And here is my hope with this car. I find that when I start talking electric vehicles with people who know about them, it just goes really nerdy and really in-depth, and we start speaking languages that the average person doesn't really understand. So my hope with this video is to take out some of those complicated terms and talk about this car in plain language so that you can understand if an electric vehicle is right for you, and specifically maybe if this one is. So it is a review of this car, but we're not going to talk about 800-volt charging systems in those terms. We're not going to talk about kilowatt hours in those terms. We're just going to talk about what living with this vehicle is like and what those nerdy terms mean for your life living with this vehicle. So hopefully that makes sense, and that's our goal for this video. And it's going to be a long video. We do these things live. They go for about a half an hour, and if we go longer than that, we're just taking your questions. So hang out with us, have a snack, have a drink ready, and we'll talk about this car. If you're not watching live with us, feel free to skip to the 3-minute mark where we get going to the content of this video. In the next 3 minutes, what we're going to do is talk about, or next 2 minutes, I guess, we'll talk about how to join us live. We'll talk about some news and some notes, and at 3 minutes, we'll get into the content of this video. So feel free to skip ahead or hang out with us. Maybe you want to hang out with us if you're new, because we did some cool stuff today that I want to tell you about. So, all right, here's how to join us live. You go to our YouTube channel exactly at 2 o'clock on a weekday, and you refresh the page. If you refresh the page, then you will see that our regular video that was down here is replaced by the live video. You can see it says live there. You're going to click into that, and as you click into that, you're going to have to watch an ad. We all know that you're going to skip the ad, just like I'm doing right about now, but you can watch that ad. I'm okay with that. I'm going to run a quick little ad for the 3 dealers that support us. Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owen Sound Hyundai are the 3 dealers that support this channel. They make this happen. And if you're looking to buy a car in Ontario, there'll be a link in the description of this video as soon as I'm done, and you can reach out to me there. I will connect you with our sales team, and we have people in the showroom right now, actually a couple of people in the showroom right now that are here for exactly that reason. They saw the video and they're here. So yeah, be one of them if you want. All right, so kind of big news here. Yesterday we tried to do this and it went poorly for me, but we're gonna do this again. We hit 50,000 subscribers. Oh, we're climbing up. So 50,044 subscribers recently. And really quickly, thanks. It's been fun. It's I think it's like we've now outperformed, as far as subscriber base, a lot of automotive brands in Canada. And that's pretty cool. So I want to thank you guys, and also kind of recognize that, hey, there's an opportunity here, right? If we can do this with one person over a few years, outperforming brands, then think about the opportunity of what we could do, you know, outside of all of this. So that's kind of fun to think about. Anyways, so that's where we're at, 50,000 subscribers, and I want to thank you guys for it. Do me a favor, if you want to help me at all, you can subscribe if you want, but also hit the like button right now. If we get a whole bunch of likes right now, we'll get a bunch of people to join us. We're at the 3-minute mark, so we'll get going. Before we do that, if you want to follow us on Instagram, that's the quickest way to follow me on Instagram. I am taking the month of April off. I will be posting on Instagram still, though, so feel free to you know, hang out with us there, and yeah, we'll do that. All right, okay, let's talk about this car. So Hyundai Ioniq 5, and I think I may have left my key in the car, which is kind of my thing. 50,000 subscribers in. Many of our subscribers know that I always forget the keys. So there we go. Excuse me. All right, so let's just show you the key fob first. This is the preferred long-range model. So where does that fall in the lineup? Basically dead smack in the middle. As you can see, electric cars are not cheap. It is something you have to recognize if you're wanting to get into one. This is a very good electric car, but it starts at about 45 grand. We have about the $52,000 car here, and they go up to about $60,000 for the Ioniq 5. And we are right smack in the middle today. So we are looking at a car that is a rear-wheel drive, long range. It's got a pretty good sized battery, and it goes about 488 kilometers of rated range. And we'll talk about what that kind of means. So one of our regulars just said, don't forget the keys. Where were you earlier? I did forget the keys. Here's the key fob on this car. Now this one is lock, unlock. You can hold to hit the horn, holds a remote start, which is actually just remote climate, because electric car doesn't really need to start to do that. And there's a hold to open the fuel door. On the higher trim cars, you can actually move the car forward and back like a remote control using the key fob, which is kind of fun to do and show off to your friends. And there's a lot of reasons to do that. So what we're going to talk about is just kind of how this is made, why it matters, and maybe if an electric vehicle is right for you. So pretty much everybody making quality electric vehicles now, if they do a dedicated EV platform, so something like the Hyundai Kona, Kia Soul, those are not dedicated EV platforms. They are EVs, but they can. So this one is a dedicated electric vehicle, and whether you're Tesla, Ford, Chevy, everybody else, Kia and Hyundai as well, you're basically making an electric car on what we call a skateboard type platform. So you have a battery down here and then you bolt on a suspension package here and there with a motor here and sometimes there. So in this case, it's only here. And basically what that allows you to do is very quickly modify things to make different vehicles. So the Hyundai Ioniq 5, that structure with the battery actually has some of the crash testing stuff built into it. There's a lot of things you can do, but it allows you to very quickly make new vehicles, and it gives you certain advantages and certain, challenges to work with. I think it's a better way to build a car. The reason you put the battery down low is because it is a heavy battery and you want that weight down low. It also gives you better handling down there. So you have electric cars that generally handle fairly well, although they are heavy. And then, of course, the suspension, you can have it raised or lowered, so raised or lowered ride height. You can widen the vehicle and have extra batteries for a wider vehicle. You can lengthen the vehicle and have extra batteries for the extra length, and therefore you end up with similar range and similar sized vehicles. It's kind of a simple process, but simple is sometimes better, and that's what they do here. So everybody does basically the same thing. There are some advantages to the way Hyundai does their thing. And this one happens to be rear-wheel drive. You could get it in an all-wheel drive. And the way they do rear-wheel drive here is they put a little electric motor sort of right between those wheels, and it drives it. So you don't have something in the front going all the way back and driving that. You just have an electric motor in the rear. Now, if it was all-wheel drive, there would be an electric motor in the front as well. We're going to go turn on my light by walking by it. And if you have that motor in the front, in Hyundai's case, the way they do things is, while I'm here, I'm going to shut my door as well. In Hyundai's case, the way they do things when you have all-wheel drive is you add a second motor. So this one is rated for 488 kilometers of range, and the all-wheel drive is actually rated for less range, about 414 kilometers range, so 488 to 414. The reason is you're carrying around a little bit extra weight, and that battery, instead of powering just one motor, has to now power two motors. Now, the advantage of that is obviously all-wheel drive and more power, because think about a gasoline car. If you added a whole separate second engine, you would use a little bit more fuel, but you would also get a lot more range out of that vehicle. Oh, somebody is trying to beep this car beside us, so this is going to be fun. Somebody's looking for this car. Somebody's going to come in here soon looking for this car, and they're going to annoy us until that point. So that's kind of the way things work with the all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, and this is why this is rear-wheel drive and the longest range. So that's one thing. So now let's jump inside and talk about this platform and how it benefits you inside. And the Ioniq 5 is probably one of the best examples in the EV marketplace because it has this big wide open space and you have this flat floor. It's hard to film, but when you see this in person, it's a very visually different car to have that big wide open space there. Now, higher trim levels, this whole thing can slide back and forth and kind of move in and out of your way if you wanted it to. Lower trim levels like this one, that center console kind of stays where it is. But it's kind of an intriguing place to be. And the one thing that Hyundai is doing that's kind of interesting as well is they're looking at their EVs in a different way than a lot of people are looking at cars. They're kind of building a living room feel to their cars. And it sort of shows up in this car, but it could show up more in their future electric cars. But one place it shows up is in this seat. It is less of an automotive style seat. It still has strong side bolstering, so you feel like you're in place, but it very much feels like you're just sitting on the couch. And you can see here, if I show you my legs here, it's nice and flat. There is some bolstering here, but it does have a different feel than some car seats. And it's one reason to buy the Ioniq 5 is it's just a very comfortable seat. Now, a lot of Teslas, for instance, don't have a start-stop button. This car does. So we're going to turn that to the, put a foot on the brake actually, because we can start the car fully up. Tap that, the car comes to life. Now, one thing I find a little polarizing with this car is the gear shift. I can show you here. I'm going to rotate this. There it's park. I'm going to rotate forward to drive, backwards to reverse, and I can press the button in on the end here for park. And that's how that works. Now, the only issue I have with it is it works fine, but it kind of looks like a column shifter. So if you think about column shifters on older pickup trucks, older cars, this is not something you want to pull up or down. It's not made to do that, and it can be a little deceiving if you've never seen it before. So we've seen people try to grab that, but it works very well. And that, again, allows you to have this wide open space down here. Now, a lot of gasoline cars, they run exhaust pipes down here. They run drivetrains down there, drive shafts down there. So not having any of that gives you this big flat floor, which gives you a nice wide open feel and a wide open space. Inside, you're going to see screens in just about every electric car you see, and this one's got two great ones. So they happen to be white background here. You can change it to black background. The EV6, the Kia's version of this car, which is a totally different car really, but it does have similar screens, and it uses a black surround and a black screen. You can change these to black screens if you want. One thing that's cool about this area right here, Hyundai uses this, and this is magnetic. So you can stick your little pictures of whoever your loved ones are, or, you know, maybe your favorite car, or maybe your very first car, or the gasoline relic of the past sticking up there. So that's kind of a fun way to do things. And then down here in the dash, you have a very different looking dash than a typical gasoline car. And they do this on purpose. These are actual gauges that are actually helpful. They just don't look like gauges. So there's your speedometer there. And this is a bar graph that will fill in as you drive. Over here is your power gauge. Let's see if I put it in drive. I don't think it'll do anything. No, it won't. So we'll put it back in park. Oops, there we go. Wait for that to disappear. You can see over here that the way this works is also a bar graph. When you're using power, it's kind of a bar graph that builds there. When you are decelerating or braking, the bar graph fills in there, and that actually charges your battery. Down here, kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is a fuel efficiency range type thing, and that's kind of how that works. So range figures are basically if you run the battery from 100% to 0. Yes, so a couple things I want to say about range in this car. First of all, climate system is on, and let's just play with that for a second. We'll talk about range a little bit here. So let me just take the climate system here, and let's just mess with it. Let's turn the fan all the way up. Oh, it's not too bad. So you can see there's the range right there, 208 kilometers with the fan clicking. Now watch when I turn this system off. We are going to go to off. Oh, hold on, it's not letting me do this. There we go, off, 231 kilometers. When you look at range in an electric car, there are two things that are kind of your enemies. One is aerodynamics. The Kia EV6 is built on the same platform. It actually has more range. It's a more aerodynamic car. A little bit less spacious. This one has a little more space, but range is a big thing. And then temperature. Outside temperature can affect things like charging times, all kinds of things. For the most part, the word range anxiety or the term range anxiety isn't a problem anymore. That came from when cars had like 150 kilometers of range. Now we're talking 488 kilometers. It's just not really the same issue anymore, but you will still have things that affect your range that you don't expect. And the biggest thing is your climate system here. That can really, you just saw there, we added what, 25 kilometers or so, just by changing the fan speed and the temperature in this car. And that's kind of a thing that can affect it over time. But again, for the most part, you have enough range. Range isn't really an issue. Charging is, we'll talk about that later in the video. It's not really an issue as well. Let's just show you a couple of cool things in here. This is typical Kia Hyundai type stuff in here. Right here, if I want to go to the seat heaters, for instance, I can turn on my seat heaters. I can turn on the steering wheel heater, and you've got some pretty cool stuff. You can, you know, smart ventilation. You can auto dehumidify, recirculation. Basically, you can move air through here. Pretty cool, pretty interesting ways, including like ventilating the thing out so it does, even when it's parked, so it doesn't have smells that build up. Seat heaters, because these are cloth seats, I already feel the seat heater from just when I turned it on, so they are quick to warm, and that's kind of a nice thing. We'll leave that on for a bit because it's a little cooler out there. And then you have the normal stuff you have in all of your Kia and Hyundai vehicles. So a lot of stuff here that makes some sense. Regular navigation. If you want to pull the map up here, you can have a full screen map, or you can have the map and the radio up there. So again, this is a very large 12.3 inch display screen. 12.3 inch here and 12.3 inch there basically means you have like 2 full feet plus of diagonal screen space there, and it very much feels like a single screen from the driver's area. Radio is kind of a cool display as well, so we'll show you that here in a second. We'll just go over to the radio, and there's other ways to get to the radio, but this is one way. So again, cool little display thing there. AM, FM, and satellite, of course. Lots of cool stuff to play with in there. But we'll just slide across. The one thing that's different is your EV settings here. So sometimes it'll tell you where charging stations are. There's one close by. You can choose that. What I recommend for charging stations is to get an app on your phone for the various brands of charging stations. I find those are a little bit better for my use. You can do what you want with them. But there's all kinds of information in here. If you're a total nerd like me, you can set it to charge to 80% or 100%. What these charging things mean is basically, let's just talk about charge times. If you don't own an EV, most people, you're going to charge in your own house, your own garage, if you have one, and you're going to do 90% of your charging there. Most people. If you travel, you may want to charge on the road. Now, this car has a couple of charging ways that are pretty cool. There's a regular charge, about an hour and a half. You can go from basically empty to 80, 90% in that kind of time, which is a fast charging system. It's called level 3 charger. But this car is capable of an 18-minute 0 to 80% charge at an ultra fast charger. And you may think, oh, there's not many of those chargers around, and you're right, but you don't need many of them around when you've got the kind of range you have here. So it's pretty incredible the charge speed this car can have. And again, we can talk about 800-volt charging systems. Basically, what you need to know is there are some charge stations out there, especially in major metropolitan areas, that are capable of charging this car in, let's call it 18 minutes to half an hour, and off you go for the next 3-4 hours. That really changes the game if you're road tripping, but for the most part, again, you're charging at home, it's not a big deal. And range anxiety for most people isn't an issue, and I hear a lot of people complaining to me about these cars aren't any good in the winter. Well, more than 50% of cars sold in Norway right now are electric vehicles. So it's just a debunked thing. Once you own an electric vehicle, there are some compromises in the winter. You do lose some range, but you're not going to go through most of it. And most people overestimate the range they need, and they have plenty for cars like this. All right, really quickly, just going to show you some steering wheel stuff. This is all typical Kia Hyundai stuff as well. Smart cruise control that can keep the distance between you and a vehicle in front of you. Lane follow assist, which is in here. It helps you keep centered in the lane. This one has highway drive assist. There's also highway drive assist 2, which can do lane changes for you. So you just signal and it'll lane change for you. Even little things that are pretty cool, like when you have this lane follow assist and the highway drive assist 2, if you have the top trim line, it keeps you centered in your lane. But what happens if someone creeps into your lane a little bit? Well, the car can actually move within the lane a little bit away from the car near you. So I can't call it self-driving features, but it certainly feels like that from the driving environment here, that this car has some of that. And then if you want to have some fun with this car, you've got this drive mode button right on the wheel. And let me tell you, compared to a gas car, drive modes in an electric car make a big difference. So you've got Eco, Normal, and Sport, and you can see your dash changes there, a little bit of a Eco gauge there. Normal is what we were just showing you before, and then the sport mode changes again. Coloring changes a little bit. It's just kind of a fun way to do things, but I can tell you right now, Eco is, for most people, the normal power stage. Sport mode really ramps it up. You've got instant torque here. A gasoline engine has to rev to reach that maximum torque, whereas this one is such, as soon as you touch the gas pedal, you can have maximum torque, which is the pulling power that you feel, and it makes it fun to drive. So really fun to drive cars. Up here, you've got what they call Blue Link, which is, again, is in our gasoline cars as well. Gives you the opportunity to call for help if you need it. You also have a cell phone app that can do various things like check your state of charge, set the doors to lock, set the climate, and that kind of thing. So you have those buttons there. The other nice thing that I always forget to mention about the Blue Link system is if you get in an accident and an airbag comes out, it will call for help for you. So you don't have to be alert to do that. There is that. One thing that's different about electric vehicles is regeneration. And basically what that means is as you let off, I'm going to call it the gas pedal. I know it's not the gas pedal, but let's just keep it to terms we understand. Let off the gas pedal and you end up braking automatically. And most people do what they call one pedal driving. This has an I pedal setting, and you don't need to know what that is. But basically you can let off the throttle pedal, let off the gas pedal, and the car starts braking. It sounds crazy if you drive a gas car, but it actually makes it more easy to drive, more fun to drive, and you basically rarely have to hit the brake pedal. Most of us can drive this car with one pedal alone, just touching the brake as we're stopped, and it'll slow down and come to a complete stop just by letting off the throttle or letting off the gas pedal, which is pretty cool. All right, we're gonna go take your questions right now. We're gonna go show you rear seat space, some trunk space, some lighting things around this car, and we're gonna talk about some of the safety as well. Try to put that in regular terms as well. So do me a favor, hit the like button. We got 90 people on, we got 50 likes already, so let's go for 75. Keep it nice and easy today. And I'll go take your questions. We're gonna go turn on our motion sensor light, and we'll go from there. All right. Got some cars parked in the way. There we go. Nope. There we go. All right. The car is mad at me. It's beeping at me. And why is it beeping at me? Because I have the key in my pocket, but I left it on. That's something to know with EVs. That car is making no sound right now. It has no emissions. So you can sometimes mistakenly leave them on. If you have that Blue Link app, it can warn you, hey, what are you doing? And it'll help you out that way as well. So someone says, not my thing, but cool. Yeah, it doesn't have to be everybody's thing yet. I think the thing is, though, I've had a lot of people that say it's not their thing, and then they drive it for a while, and they like them. I can tell you right now, I prefer driving an electric vehicle over a gas vehicle, even though gas makes more sense for me on some things. We have one electric vehicle and one gas vehicle in my family, and that just works really well for us right now. All right. Was the Celtos in the studio found? No, somebody gave up on beeping that. So can I buy the car and be shipped to Montreal? If you're in Quebec, you have a provincial rebate. The shortest answer is it's usually easier for you to buy in your own province because there's that extra provincial rebate on top of the government rebate. So at this point, for us to sell to you, it's easier for you to buy locally from there. Is there a switchable night mode for the instrument panel? Way too much white for my taste. Yes, you can switch it to black all the time. You can switch it to switch at a certain time of day, for instance. What you can't do that I think you should be able to do is it should be able to switch for instance, when your headlights are on, or it should be able to switch just on time of day related to sunset, because sunset changes every day. So there's that. Somebody just asked about a hitch. You can get one. I don't know if it's available from the accessories thing yet, but this car tows, the EV6 tows 2,300 pounds. I feel like this should match it. Certainly around the 2,000 pound range is there. Is any EV6 available soon in Mississauga? Here's the thing, guys. If you're in Mississauga, buy from us. And I'm gonna mean that because we've sold 100 plus EV6s here, and you're looking for an EV6 in Mississauga, just buy from us. We'll ship it right to you. You don't have to even come to Brantford, but we're not that far away. And I can tell you there are people that are asking to deal with us because we know our stuff. So if you're in Mississauga and you want me to promote another dealer who doesn't pay me, instead of the dealer that gives me all the time and energy to do this with you, come to us. Just call us, connect with us. And maybe some of our regular subscribers will jump on and tell you why it's a good idea to buy from us. But yes, EV6s are available. They're gonna be a little while. Just buy from us. All right. Rear-wheel drive, is rear-wheel drive good for winter? That's the other good question here. So if you want the most possible range, you're gonna get a rear-wheel drive one. If you want a little bit less range, you're gonna have all-wheel drive. It's one of those compromises you gotta make on these cars, the EV6 and the Ioniq 5. Obviously all-wheel drive, great in the winter. I did do an all-wheel drive, I think with the EV6 in the winter. We had a snowy day here. I took it around, did a really quick video just to show you how that is. The thing with electric vehicles is it can cut and reapply power very quickly, and there's no driveline momentum the same way there would be in a gas car. So when you use your traction control in your gas car, you can hear your brakes kicking in, right? That's your brakes slowing down that driveline momentum. Electric vehicles have such precise control over your wheels, including the rear-wheel drive one here, that they're actually pretty good in the snow. Now, again, you will have a little bit more rear-wheel drive swing if it does start to slide. So if you're used to a front-wheel drive car, you may not. You may want to go with the all-wheel drive. But if you're comfortable with a rear-wheel drive car, this one is still very, very good in the winter. I do recommend winter tires, though. You don't have to, but I just always recommend our winter tires in the winter, even with all-wheel drive models. I have them on my vehicle, even my all-wheel drive vehicle. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, the rear-wheel drive traction control overall, stability control is very, very good in electric vehicles. So you have that. People are complaining that in cool and cold weather, charging is much slower, lack of battery preheating option. Any info on that? Not really any info to add to that, although I think there are some ways you can do to heat that up. So we could talk about that probably in another video. Charge times aren't really the end of the world for a lot of people, but it can vary based on temperatures and that kind of thing. We'll dig on that in another video. All right, rear seat space here. You can see the doors here are closed, right? So these door handles, you know, that one pops out right now just because I'm out of it. But how do you get into these door handles if they're closed? Well, it's pretty simple. You just press in here and you have the way to open it. So it's pretty simple. One thing I love about the Ioniq 5 compared to the EV6 is the rear seat. You have a little bit more headroom here and this seat slides, whereas the EV6, it does not. Again, a little bit more of a living room kind of feel in here, right? So instead of like a sportier car, you have the ability to just create extra space. Now I can move the seat forward by sliding it here. And you can see there's a significant move forward from there. And I can slide it a long ways back, and I can tilt it back a long ways. Now, at 6 feet tall, the whole way I go here, you still have plenty of headroom in the back here. And one thing compared to especially Teslas, Tesla has not figured this out yet. They do this wrong. My legs here are on the seat. The floor is still higher in these skateboard-style platform cars, and I can just tell you that when your legs are on the seat, you're going to be more comfortable like this. In a Tesla, doesn't matter which one, 3S, whatever, you're sitting with your legs up like that. It's not comfortable on a long-term thing for your guests. They do it right here. They figured that out. Somebody's rating okay 17 times. You need to stop that, Anthony, or you're going to be banned from this channel. Thank you. Okay, Anthony, you're about to get banned. All right, so we've got lots of legroom here, 6-footer sitting behind a 6-footer, and yeah, it just tons of space back here. And then they also do a couple things well. If you get the higher trim level, you're gonna have heated seats back here, heated rear seats. I like the simplicity here. Again, we talk about a living room style. There's no kind of grab bar there. It's very simple, just a handle right there. And you've got that. So over here, you've got the vents in the side, which means you don't need them in the middle here. You have them on the side. You do have pockets here as well, plastic back seats, and then the netting on both sides here, and then USB ports down there as well. So they just kind of do everything the way you need to have it. And okay, somebody gets to get banned. You guys all get to hang out for this. This will be fun for us. You, my friend, are banned from the channel. See you later. All right. We got rid of that guy. Thanks, everybody, for just not responding to him. We have banned him permanently. Okay, Good times. That was fun. We should do that again more sometime. Maybe not. All right, we're going to look at lighting in a second, and we've got it on right now, but right now I'm going to start with the trunk. The trunk on the Ioniq 5 is very crossover-like. A lot of people underestimate the size of this car. It looks kind of like maybe the old Hyundai Ponies were. It looks like a compact car. This is very small crossover-like when we come to trunk size. You've got the big seats that fold down here, so when you fold those seats down, you've actually got a ton of space. Now, I don't have a trunk measurement tool like a tape measure. I use my teddy bear here. This is what I use in all of our cars. Now, I want to show you here, there is tire right there with tons of extra floor space, tons of space above there as well. But keep in mind, even if you want to leave the seats up, you can move them quite a bit forward. So let's just do that. So there's, again, I still fit there quite comfortably. And then you gain so much more space, even with the seats up. So you really have a ton of trunk space available to you in this car. It is one good reason to have the Ioniq 5 over other type of things. There's a space to store the storage trunk cover, yeah. So down here, oh no, there's not. On some cars, when they have the storage cover here, you can store it underneath the floor. This one you cannot. So good catch there. I would thought you could do it here. I think you can do it on the EV6. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm thinking the Sportage. I've seen a lot of these hatchbacks recently, and I thought this one you could, but you can't. All right, let's shut the trunk down here. This one happens to have a manual trunk. In other words, you just close it non-powered, but there are powered trunks as well. While we've got the lighting on, let's show you the lighting on this car because it's more than just style. It's actually, there's a lot of function here. So of course, LED lights in here. You can notice on the other lights, everything has this kind of cubed style look to it. That's kind of very 80s retro. Even in the plastic in the side here, you've got some cube style areas. In the front of the daytime running lights there, you have the little cubes, which are actually made up of smaller cubes again. And then you have, of course, your really bright LED headlights, which if we show you right now, blazingly bright, really nice. And then you have your signal lights down here, which also have a cubed pattern into the design on the lens there. So a lot of cubed areas on the lighting. Those of you who have never seen this car, sometimes you'll hang out in this area down here. That will open and close. That's a vented area. Very flat type area in the front here. So kind of a cool overall look to the lighting. Some people are going to love this and some people are not going to love it. And I just like that they take a risk. I like to talk about interesting cars, and this is an interesting car to me. Coming over here, you can see those bright white LED daytime running or LED headlights. Nice, nice kind of bright area. And then of course, if you're driving at night, the whiter color of these LED lights is closer to daylight. So your brain can kind of recognize what you see. If you see a little raccoon running across the road, instantly your brain knows what it is and it knows what to do, as opposed to, what is that? Oh my goodness, it's too late. Nobody wants that. Out back, same idea with the cubes type lighting. So little cubes there for the LED taillights. The Ioniq 5 is actually pretty cool. I never showed this before, but I think I should. Again, cubes inside this glass panel, like inside, or the glass-like panel. And the Ioniq 5 is actually outdented, so it's not indented in. It's kind of sticking out there. It's kind of cool. And of course, there's your brake type signal lights. We got signal lights going right now that would show there. And this white area here are kind of like stretched out cubes, only the white area lights. So it's kind of a high mount stoplight. Again, kind of a cool look there. So that is the basics of this car, the lighting, those kinds of things. I'm sure there's questions about the car. There's 100 things I haven't shown. One of the things I haven't talked about is safety. So let's just really quickly talk about safety. When we talked about that smart cruise control earlier, it can keep the distance between you and a vehicle in front of you right down to a stop. A lot of people use cruise control on the highway for like long distance driving. It's really, really good to be used in stop and go traffic, especially in an EV, because an EV is so smooth to accelerate and smooth to decelerate and charges itself while it does that. It's one of those kind of fun things to let the car kind of self-drive a little bit. You're still responsible for it, but it'll accelerate on its own. It can brake on its own. It can steer centered in the lane. And it's a great car for stop and go traffic with some of those safety features. And it uses cameras and radar plates ahead of you to do all these things to see vehicles. But those cameras and radar plates also have things like the car can stop for itself if there's a danger in front of it, like a vehicle that's stopped if you're not paying attention. It's capable of doing those things. Signal lights with blind spot detection, it's capable of avoiding some of those collisions, as well as just warning you about things. Even when you're backing up, a lot of our cars have this. It's not an EV specific thing. It's got a radar plate back here, so if you're parked beside a minivan, my hand being in the minivan, there's no possible way that you can see me. As you're backing up and I'm crossing your path, maybe I'm walking with a baby stroller, maybe I'm walking with a shopping cart, maybe I'm driving. If you can't possibly see me because there's a van here, this car can. It has little beepers and sensors that can warn you, and it can, in some cars, it can stop as well to avoid the collision with me. There are so many safety features here that are built in to avoid collisions in the first place. A lot of people talk about safety from how is it when it crashes, and the answer is very good, but the real answer is how does it avoid crashes? That's what you want in a modern vehicle. So there is 30 minutes of kind of plain language talking. One real quick thing, let's talk about how you charge. It's very, very simple in this car. I'm gonna just turn it off. Some people kind of want to know. So we'll turn the car off here for a second. Turn the signal light off as well. All right. So we get out of the car, we want to charge the car. Well, how do you do it? There's a lot of ways to open the charge door, but we'll do it the fun way. We'll use a little remote control. Normally you can just touch it there as well. There's a little touchpad right there, but you know, because it's video, it's fun to do things the fun way. So we're gonna hold that there, and that pops up, kind of futuristic. Again, a cubed lighting theme in here. This is telling us roughly where it is for charge. So it's about 3/4 full, give or take, in that range. And then what you do is you just plug a device in there. You could plug it in to a regular wall outlet. It's going to take quite a while to charge like that. What you're probably going to do is buy what's called a level 2 charger. They're not super, super expensive, but there is a little bit of cost. Level 2 charger plugs into essentially what is a dryer plug. And then you can have that, you can plug that into the car. As soon as you plug this car in, it actually says in English, charging started. I should probably switch the language to French and see if it switches languages. That would be pretty cool. But it'll tell you it's charging, and you'll be able to tell by these things blinking, and that's it. So you come home at night. You don't have to do this every night because most of us don't. You just take your charger off the wall, you click it in there, it goes click, car goes click, and it says charging started, and you walk away, and it does its thing. And then every morning you're leaving with essentially a full tank, which on this car could be about 488 kilometers. We find that in the summer, you're actually gonna get more than 488. I've driven one of these in a little bit warmer weather and had 500 plus, 500, I think 520 was what I've seen so far, and it wasn't that warm yet. So it's super, super simple to do. When you come out in the morning, it will not let you drive away while you're plugged in. As long as that thing's plugged in, it won't let you go anywhere, even if it's not charging. So you unplug it, you close it down, you hop in the car, and you go. And I gotta be honest with you, forgetting the fact that gas prices are ridiculous right now, walking out of your garage and going click and putting it on the wall is way better, or even your house, even if you don't have a garage, walking out is way better than standing at a garage station. Oui, français, s'il vous plaît. No, I don't know, I'll have to change that language in another video. So, all right, guys, we did that. We hit 82 likes, 125 of you are on. If you want to know more about this car, just subscribe to the channel. We're going to talk a lot. We're going to get some, actually, Gabby and Charlotte are going to help us do some feature videos of this vehicle through the month of April. Live videos, if you're tuning in, I won't be doing them through April. We won't be doing live videos through April, so we'll do that. We'll talk about that down the road and where we head with those. So there is that. All right, we're going to leave it there. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And like I said, if you have more questions, just keep asking them in the comments, in the regular comments of this video after it's posted, and we'll continue to do our best to answer them. So thanks everybody for watching. It's been fun, and thank you for your 50,000 plus subscribers. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys in the next one.